Tone from the 757 Spin Number 2, back to you with another video. And today I'm going to be talking about the 2022 NFL Draft. And the NFL Draft is coming up, and it's coming up fast. And in this NFL year, in this NFL Draft class, there's really no consensus, no number one overall pick. A lot of NFL mock drafts have Aiden Hutchinson, but you hear talks of Trayvon Walker. You even hear some small talks of Kayvon Thibodeaux, excuse me. And who's going to be that consistent number one overall pick is going to be tough. Jacksonville, of course, has the number one overall pick, and it's up to them. And it's going to be a very interesting choice who they surround Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, are they going to help protect him or get his blind side protected, or are they going to have that defense loaded up with the Josh Allen, or with the mixing with an Aiden Hutchinson or Trayvon Walker? So it's going to be very interesting. But for this video, I'm going to be talking about the top 10 offensive players in this NFL draft. We have this is a deep offensive tackle and a wide receiver draft. It's a good wide receiver draft. Maybe not as good as the one that we came out with CeeDee Lamb and Jared Jeudy, but it's a very decent one. I think it's might be overrated because there's a lot of guys I do like that are going to fall into the second round. But nevertheless, let's start on this video. With number 10, I'm going to go with Treylon Burks. He's coming out of Arkansas. He's 6'2", 225 pounds. He had 66 receptions, over 1,000 yards receiving, and 11 touchdowns. He has a great combination of speed. You hear comparisons of Deebo Samuels with this guy. At 225 as a receiver, that's pretty big. And he has a great combination of size and speed. He's physical at the line of scrimmage. Great at creating yards after the catch, primarily using short intermediate routes. I like this guy, man. He's gonna fall probably later in this draft. He didn't test good at the combine, but let's not get too deep into the combine. There's a difference between football speed and just guys who running out with shorts and sleeveless shirts out there. So of course he didn't test good at the combine, but I still think he's still a first round selection. You can look at his tape at Arkansas. He did manage to separate, but you're just wondering, does he has that top end speed to get deep? Like I say, he's going to be probably used as a Deebo Samuel type player. He's a big guy at that wide receiver position. So you can compare him to Cordell Patterson and use him like Cordell Patterson or Deebo Samuels. With my number 9, I'm gonna go with Malik Willis. Malik Willis is the rawest quarterback coming probably in this draft, but he has probably the most upside. You hear comparisons of Michael Vick. He has that kind of athleticism. He has a rifle arm. He's going to need time to progress as a thrower. He can be that guy one day to make every single throw with the accuracy. He's great out of platform throws. He's a guy who has a lot of potential. We're just wondering, can we ever meet that potential? But he's 6'1". He's 219 pounds. He's a compact runner. He's turned into a running back when he runs that ball. He's strong. So he's just wondering what teams he's going to go to. You could look out for somebody like Atlanta, Carolina, and Pittsburgh. Is he going to fall? He's going to fall into that top 10, or he's going to fall down to Pittsburgh at 20. With my number 8 selection, I'm going to put Kenny Pickett over Malik Willis, just from the simple fact that Kenny Pickett is he's ready to play right now. I think he's better in terms of progress, working through his progressions. The leap that he made in 2021 was spectacular. He had 42 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, and opposing players and coaches who played against him say this guy is the real deal. You know, he has great touch on the ball and the intermediate routes. The ball comes out quickly. Good athlete, plays with confidence underneath pressure, which is really huge. You don't know what a quarterback what he's capable of when he's faced underneath the pressure of a defense coming straight to his face. The question about Kenny Pickett is he has small hands. Probably the smallest hands since Michael Vick in 2 decades. But Michael Vick still was a great thrower of the football. If people don't remember, he wasn't Peyton Manning, but he still had a good arm. And also, people wondering also, he's kind of that Joe Burrow. It took him 5 years to finally pop. So people are thinking like his ceiling is probably probably what you gave him at college, and that's good. I think his college production was fine, but he's just I think he's gonna be a good quarterback coming straight out, and he's a plug-in player, ready to play now over Malik Willis. For my number 7 pick out of Alabama, I'm gonna put Jamison Wilson. If you remember Jamison Wilson, he torn his ACL during the championship game, but this guy, he was electrifying when he got the ball in the stands. He was Alabama's best offensive player to me. He's 6'2", 79 pounds. He had 79 receptions, 1,500 yards with 15 touchdowns, which led the SEC. He's sleek, he's fast, he's a wideout with a flexible game, can play the slot, can play the number one, above average separator with ultra light feet, great in sweep and the sweep game. With the ball in his hands, man, this guy is explosive. And he's probably, if I would have put him higher on this list if he didn't tear his ACL. And I know people are like, well, you don't know what he can be if he didn't tear his ACL. But guys are looking for production right now when we're coming out of the draft. And right now, we don't know if he's going to ever recover from an ACL. I know ACL injuries are starting to become better in terms of how people deal with them, but those are still major injuries, and we don't know if he can ever hurt that knee again. And there's still a mystery factor about Jameis Winston. Even though he has what I've seen on film, he's still a top 10 player in this draft, and I wouldn't surprise if he goes top 10 to the Jets or a wide receiver need a team like the Eagles. He could fall all the way to the later in later in the round where the Chiefs were drafted in the 20s. He's shown the ability to track the ball vertically. So this guy, James Winston, to me, he's a great wide receiver. He's still top 10. He's just concerns of that coming off the ACL injury and how long it might take him. My number 6 is going to go with Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa. If you ever seen this guy on film, he's nasty. He plays the game with a nasty physical blocker that you like. He matched the lesser competition. He's twitchy at 230 and he finishes blocks. He finishes them. He makes sure those guys are pancake. And that you would like to see that into with an offensive lineman, that aggressiveness and willing to finish blocks and get guys on that ground to protect the quarterback. And that offensive tackle, he's good at finishing those blocks. The only questions about him is his level of athleticism. He has average athleticism, and guys who are speed rushers are going to give him problems. Chris Olave, man, I know I just previously talked about the combine with shorts and sleeves, but he did have a great combine. He's 6 foot, 187 pounds, 65 receptions, 930 yards with 13 touchdowns. He's very productive in the red zone, and that's very important in terms of the wide receiver. Can he get the ability to separate to get those touchdowns? And especially when the quarterback or your team needs those 7 points, because settling for field goals is still not good enough to me. He has great top end speed, superior route running, quick feet to allow him to create good leverage. Chris Olave is definitely a good pickup for any team drafting around in the teams, and if he falls in the 20s. Hey, that would be even better for a team like a Green Bay, because this guy, that Ohio State wide receiver class is pretty good. Or who came out of wide receiver, played at Ohio State, because James Williams, he was at Ohio State transfer who made it to Alabama. So this is a talented guy, Chris Olave. He's going to be a great pickup. He has great speed. He's a great route runner. I think the team will be happy with his production. With number 4, I'm going to pick up Drake London. To me, Drake London has the potential to be the best wide receiver in this draft. He's 6'4". He's a former basketball player. He's 219 pounds. He's compared to Mike Evans, and that's a great comparison for this guy in terms of the 50-50 balls and what he can come down with. He had over 1,000 yards receiving in only 8 games before he broke his foot. He has deceptive speed and separation skills, plays well with high end balance and contact with elite body control and sideline awareness and vertical threat because of leaping ability. This guy is huge, and he's physical, and he's a former basketball player, so he can high point that ball. And his production that he gave in college is sensational to me. This guy has, like I said, he has the potential to be the best wide receiver in the draft. I know he didn't run his 40 during his pro day, but I don't think that's a big deal. He would be a type of player that will run a 4.4 at the end, between a 4.4 and a 4.5, and that's still pretty decent speed to me for a guy who's 6'4", 219 pounds. Garrett Wilson was to me Ohio State's best wide receiver, man. He's creative. He's a creative receiver with high end speed, elusiveness in the open field, will run past corners, good releases, and good enough to win off the line. Impressive route runner. Garrett Wilson, to me, him and James Williams before he got hurt were probably the best two wide receivers in the NFL draft coming out. And to me, he's probably on top of James Wilson just from the simple fact that he didn't get injured, and his production was still pretty good. And Garrett Wilson, like I said, he's probably going to go in that top 10 range. A lot of these receivers are probably going to. Don't be shocked if you see 2 or 3 wide receivers in this year's draft. Like I said, if you looked at what that Super Bowl that the Rams and the Bengals had, Jamar Chase was important, and Cooper Kupp was important. And teams are going to be looking at that, and they're looking, what do I need to get my quarterback some help? We need guys like a Cooper Kupp, like a Jamar Chase. So don't be shocked if a lot of these guys are overdrafted in terms of the position, just from the simple fact that they're trying to surround their team with weapons. My number 2 is with the offensive tackle is Ikem Ekwonu. He's 6'4", and 310 pounds. What I've seen on the tape about him is his athleticism for a guy his size. He's a master. He's a master with serious twitch ability and striking. Has great mobility and athleticism. Well balanced, very capable on reach blocks. He's a tackle, but he's more projected to be an elite offensive guard. Only allowed 3 sacks and 476 snaps. This guy, to me, he has great athleticism. He has a compact body, strong, and at the end of the day, he probably would be best suited as a guard in this NFL. I think he can play all positions throughout the line, probably but center. But I think he would be best at guard. But they're going to play him at right tackle when he comes in. He's probably going to go to the New York Giants or somewhere a team like the Detroit Lions. But I see a guy like him falling in the top 5, no less than probably top 10. I'll be really shocked. And to finish out my list, I'm gonna go with Evan Neal, man. This guy, to me, he's the most NFL ready prospect in this NFL draft. He's insanely large. He's 6'7", 337 pounds. He's twitchy for his size. Carries his weight well. High end recovery skills. Balance could use some work. Most NFL rating, and only gave up 2 sacks in his 15 games with Alabama. This guy is talented. He's the best NFL offensive player. And a lot of guys were like, what about the skills position? This wasn't just a skills position offensively. This was overall offensively. And one of the terms of he's probably the best offensive tackle to me in this NFL draft, and offensive player, in terms of, he's going to be that plug and starter probably at left tackle, and he's going to do a great job to me. And he's going to be a stalwart in terms of tackles. He's a big guy. He's a physical guy. He's 6'7". You'll have somebody like a Trevor Lawrence would love, or Daniel Jones would love, is seeing a guy like Evan Neal protect them. Especially counterpart of somebody like an Andrew Thomas. So just give me your thoughts, give me your comments. Did I miss a player that you felt like excited you? Because there was a lot of players to me that did excite me, and I'm gonna do a video later about guys who do excite me later in the rounds that could be draft steals. But in terms of my top 10, these are guys who probably can be the most productive right away in terms of prospects. For probably Malik Willis, who's probably going to take time, but he's probably going to end up starting this later year in the draft. So give me your thoughts, comment, like, subscribe.